Hi. What does it take not to just climb the corporate ladder, but reinvent it entirely? Building workplaces where diversity fuels innovation, belonging is non negotiable, and success is measured by more than profit margins. Welcome to the Boundary Breakers Collective. Today, we are joined by a leader who spent nearly 2 decades rewriting the rules of organizational excellence. Meet Laura Barrios, HR visionary, DEIB champion, and architect of Paraguay's #1 Great Place to Work for 13 record breaking years. With 18 years at DHL Express, Laura has shattered glass ceilings from the inside out, evolving from HR analyst to a transformative force shaping cultures across Central and South America. A certified Six Sigma Silver Master, ontological coach, and international facilitator, she merges data driven precision with unshakable humanity. But what truly makes Laura a boundary breaker? She refuses to accept the ways it's always been done. Whether challenging outdated corporate hierarchies, amplifying marginalized voices as the America's DEIB champion, or proving that empathy and results aren't mutually exclusive, Laura's work asks one radical question. What if workplaces didn't just include diversity, but thrived because of it? So stick around as we unpack how to lead with intuition, turn emotions into strategy, and build legacy defining brands, one broken boundary at a time. Let's ignite this conversation. Laura, welcome. I am super stoked to have you here. How are you doing?
Hello, Elena. Thank you for inviting me, for having me here, for talking about all these subjects that I really are passionate about, and it's very opportune to talk about diversity in this context.
Yes, absolutely. We will talk about diversity and we will talk about you because what people want to know is how do you become the woman that you are? How do you become the leader that you are? What boundaries did you have to break? What was not like evident because it was expected from you to do something different and yet you did it. I'm so happy that to have you here because you have such a proven track record that whatever you did it works.
Okay,
Yeah, so interested to hear about all these things. So, my first question always is what makes you a boundary breaker?
I think I become in a boundary breaker. It's no purpose. It's not conscious. It was a call in the bottom of my heart that I born in South America, in a very poor country with
Mm.
a lot of rate of corruption, actually, with a beautiful things, but a small country are outside of the scope of the huge macro political environment as well, and with a less opportunity than other bigger countries.
Hmm.
And I feel a blessed woman because I born in a family who respect me as a woman, who educated me as a woman, and give me the opportunity to went to the university.
Yeah.
And I don't think in my country is don't usual do that, but the gap between rights between men and women are uh, 60% of this vintage in this kind of things as well for leaders, woman or woman occupying leader position in companies and the government as well. But I am a
Yeah.
privilege, and I feel the people who born with this kind of privilege has a lot of responsibility. And I start to work in the university with International Amnesty. I always like to do social work when I was young. But then in my first job, who was a customer service agent, I thought, Elena, this kind of be the right of the workers is so unfair. work many hours, the salaries are very lower. I say, has a better word. Maybe I went to other countries. I maybe I have to go to United States or Europe, maybe, because in my feelings, in my intuition, there is no life quality. And then I was hired by DHL as a temporary agent because I was very young when I started in DHL. And I started to know the survey for employees, human rights. And I say, okay, I can build from my country. I don't need to go to another country to build that. And I fallen in love for my job in human resources.
Wow.
And I start to work very unconscious and with very passion about listen to the employees, to the worker, and changing some process in order to feel well in the work. That's the living way, working in something that you feeling valued. And I started there very unconscious and with very passion.
Yeah, I'm interested because you say you started very unconscious, but when I listen at your story, you start with saying that basically the context that you were born in, the country and the culture and politics were not really favorable in order to respect and value people and workers. And then you said, I was lucky I had a family that respected and trusted me and allowed me to go to university. You also had to make the decision to go to university and to finalize your studies. So there's a lot of your own um, intention and motivation involved there. But what I feel, and that is very conscious, is this mission, this passion for justice and for inclusivity that you have developed very early in your professional career, and that you then have been able also to basically implement in what you were doing, especially with DHL. And the proof is there because for 13 subsequent years, you are a great place to work, which means that what you have been doing also has impacts. And that's such a beautiful thing. And I really want to validate that and celebrate that with you also in this episode, because this is extremely powerful. Even if you are in a place where you don't have all the privileges that a lot of us women in the US and Canada and Europe have, you still manage to create your vision and to bring that vision to life here in DHL. I think that's absolutely amazing. And I think that's absolutely also role modeling for many women that also see what is needed in organizations, but don't really find their voice or have access to their resources to do that. I want to know, Laura, what is it that you have developed as capacity or leadership skills in order to find your voice and speak your truth and make things happen? Can you tell a little bit more about that?
Yes, of course, Elena, and thank you for the question. You know me very confident right now. And I always be a very extrovert person, very no show off, but extrovert person. I like the human stuff. I am a humanist. I always like the animals, the naturals, and the humans. But I talk about my privilege and I realize all these things now in my maturity. When I was young, I don't was very conscious that I was a privilege. I thought all the girls has the same opportunity that me because all my college partner or my university partner or my co-workers partner as like me.
Yeah.
I have to do a lot of social work and work in myself. Look inside of me and look
Mhm.
the numbers around the world. Why we talking about this? Why we talking about far? Why we're talking about difference? And it was it's a little difficult for me accept that I am a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little difficult to listen because maybe 7 years ago, I thought all the humans have the same opportunity. You only have to work, hard work. And you hard work, you can accept like me. But then I realized it's easy. I have a car for move, not the public transport in this kind of context.
Mm-hmm.
And then I break the paradigm that Europe or North America are better than me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I started talking, this work gave me the opportunity to talk with many peoples around the world. And all the world needs the same things. And now and in this moment, I start to work my leadership skill, not only with the very male vision that you have to be brave and you have to be strong and you have to be a hard worker and you get it. No, it's a very male vision. I discovered yet my woman leadership and my woman voice because it's annoying for very people to talk like that, even for my husband. Sometimes they say the more the same person that used to be. And
Mm-hmm.
it's awesome for me. It's, thank you for that. It's the point I thought, but still in process, in working, how to speak our voice and not be shy and not be submissive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But my leadership was very kind in the sense of the human rights. I am a strong defender of the human rights.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
am very believe that all the human has the same rights.
Mm.
Doesn't matter what is your context.
Yeah.
And the social inclusion for me is very important, very important. Maybe sometimes I feel in my privileged position I don't do enough, but when we read the curriculum and we read and look back, we say, okay, we do. But I am very auto-exigent or very self-exigent.
Yeah.
I think so.
I recognize that when you are very focused on social justice and you look around in the world, you always feel like you don't do enough, and yet you do enough because you do what you do. And finding that voice and developing that vision is very important. You cannot change the complete world on your own, but you can start where you are in your country, in your organization, with your team. And that's a lot more than a lot of other people do. If everybody would do that, we would have a better world, right? We cannot keep up for everything that has room for improvement. Now, how do you develop that voice and that vision? Because it's one thing to feel this and to say, okay, there's a lot of injustice. I want to do something about it. That's like the starting point. But then it is about developing that vision. This is something that I do a lot with my female leader clients. Like, how do you develop that vision and how do you make that vision heartfelt so people can really feel that vision and are motivated to contribute to that vision and to participate? So how is it for you to develop that vision? How did you start that?
I start with that vision study, actually. Uh, when I listen, we have a gap between rights for men and women. I joined to women in United Nations and start to study the, sorry, Elena, I am translating in my head the surveys
Yes.
about the difference because I need numbers to have this argue with some people that say, you can talk about you are a very privileged. How you say the woman doesn't have a leadership position? You are a leadership. You are a leader. And I said, I don't talk about me. I talk about the other people
Yeah.
who don't have the same opportunity that me. And not only study, I went to the communities. I built home for homeless in an organization who called Un Techo para mi país, a roof for my country, that born in Chile, but are in Paraguay as well. For 10 years, once a year, I went to the communities and work with the communities and listen.
Mm.
And for my surprise, the majority of these women that don't have opportunity have child, but they don't have fathers. And I see with my own eyes the reality that I study in the surveys and compare it with the reality outside to my very comfortable neighborhood and my very comfortable part of the city. I walk the reality. And then
Mm.
I work for some organization through my company. Obviously, I don't do that outside of my company. I am the champion for corporate responsibility as well. And I
Beautiful.
went
Mm.
to plant trees and do things for the environment, but I work for the humanitarian causes as well. And I start to work with people that don't have opportunity and the same access to education. For the education, all start with education. And in Latin America exists a red who calls Teach for All, who work with many volunteers who went to these poor schools in order to do voluntary teachers.
Mhm.
And we work with these teachers and these students from with a very alliance with the company for give a tool for the first job. We training the teenagers for in front of subject about how to manage an work interview, how to make a curriculum. And when I start with the schools, I realize again all the students has the majority of these students are son or daughter of single mothers.
Mhm.
And I compared all the time the opportunities for women
Mm.
and for men are very different.
Yeah.
And it is all the difference about gender, but socioeconomical as well, we have gaps and difference. And
Awesome.
I put these numbers that I read with my reality, making social work with my own hands and moving on my comfort zone, moving on my comfort zone and went to see the reality.
Yeah. That's beautiful, Laura, because for a lot of us, this is something that we are aware of, but we don't experience what it is. And there's little programs that offer that possibility to have that experience. And so you took that initiative, and I think kudos for you. That is something very original. And then what I also like is that you imply your company in doing this. And this is something that basically creates more awareness in organizations, and that also creates a role model and an understanding with the employees in the organization to open their eyes and to understand that, again, they are privileged, even if they are not the executives or the leaders, that they are privileged and that they can experience what it is not to be privileged. And basically, these are eye opening activities. It's very smart also to involve the company in these kind of projects. And yeah, I believe that understanding what is going on is the first step also into empathy, into understanding why things don't work, understanding why certain people cannot follow through on their agreements or their promises, because poverty and underrepresentation are very strong elements to keep people stuck. And we don't always understand that. We say, why don't they find a job? Why don't they do this? How do they don't? And so there's a lot of judgment that is from our own framework because we don't understand other frameworks. And it's so important to understand that we can have an impact. I do the same with my activities, that in that way that I'm linked with Buy One, Give One, which is a global organization with special projects to do good. And so, what I do also together with my clients, or whenever we activate something where there's money involved, a part of that money goes to a woman in Kenya to give her a 10-day business education and the microcredit so she can start her own business and she can support her family, maybe even her community, so she can have her children going to school instead of having them go to work or having them married at 13 because they can no longer support their children. So there's so many things that we can do at a very small scale, but that have a tremendous impact. And we are not aware of that. We think we have to be Melinda Gates in order to do good, but that's not true. And I love it that you bring these examples and that you have involved your company
No,
into
just
this
for
project.
clarification, my company involved me because the
Yeah,
the company has the vision, and
yeah,
I always have the will to do that, and we
yeah.
convert. But the
So you
company
took
has a
the
strong
opportunity.
around the world plan for
Yeah,
social work in three
yeah.
pillars: go green, go health, and go green. The
Wow.
company
Yeah.
are very have a very robust platform of volunteer around the world, and
Wow.
I have the privilege to manage that, and the privilege to be volunteer as well, because I can manage from my seat in my desk and manage this program, but I like to be the volunteer as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Laura, do you have any role models, people that you have learned from and that might also be relevant for our audience?
Yes, I have. And I have many role
Okay.
models. In my job, I have the opportunity to work with Michelle Horta, who are the director of diversity, equity, and inclusion for whole Americas. And she invited me to have this special assignment for 1 year to work together. And I learned a lot from Michelle, and
Mm,
have two mentors and buddy. One Mexican girl who my coworker as well is Veronica Urrutia, and Margarita Granda, who are the HR manager for Ecuador and now are a VP for Central and South America. They are a role model for me. In my country, I have the opportunity to work with a senior management team composed for 70% of women. Start for my
mm,
country manager, who are women as well, is Milva Abogado. And my co-worker from operation, Leticia Cristina from sales, who are a very powerful woman. Men as well. I have two very good colleagues who are a role model for me, Ruben, who are the CFO, and Julio from quality, and one guy from IT technology, who right now moving to Panama, Marcos Morinio. And I have this privilege, Elena. I have with a many role models.
how do you work
And
with role
yes, I
models?
have two people that are my daily basis that inspire me every day. Carolina Benitez, who are HR generalist and work with me for 18 years together,
Mhm.
and Mauricio Silva, who are very young but very powerful men who are part of the community LGTB plus, and he teach me a lot, as well as C generation. a very young person who started his career, and they are very inspiring for me.
How do you work with these role models? How do you use these relationships in order to grow your?
I think sometimes when we work together, we're talking about different point of view, and we're very confident. We are not only co-workers, we won't beyond sometimes and talk not only about the projects and the work, we beyond about purpose, about how it move you for do that. And for me, it's the key. Go further, not only the corporate thing, good morning, how are you? We have to do that. No, how was your day? How you feel about this proposal? Sometimes we have different point of view, and this is riches because when we have different point of view, I said, okay, these people have other reality, and try to understand why they have their voice is very passion for me to try to understand and develop my empathic skills. But sometimes in this confidence, you try to keep your point of view very clear. And this is rich for me as well. This passion about the Latins, Elena, we talk louder, we express with our hands, and sometimes it's why. But this is amazing for me because we have we have passion at the time to work, and we
Yeah.
care about customers, we care about people, we care about the things we do.
Mm.
If I don't notice this passion, maybe don't be my role model. Or is this passion move for their own interest? If I feel
Mm.
that, maybe don't become my role model. But when these people do not only for the work, on do the things for a purpose, they become very inspiring for me.
Mm. Yeah. This is such a great example of building your community of support. You're surrounded with people that are like minded, that have your back, and also activating this community of support by building trustful relationships and having a very high quality of interactions. Like you say, it's not only about how are you or about the weather or about what is to be done in work. It is about understanding where you have like a joint mission, and you might differ in vision in how to achieve that mission, but it is about understanding and learning and seeing things from a different perspective, and develop this empathy and understanding that other people have different filters and different backgrounds, so they develop a different vision even on the same project. And that is extremely powerful in order to learn and grow, but also in order to achieve your goals and to manifest your aspirations. Thank you absolutely for sharing that, because it is something as women we tend not to do too much because we feel that we don't have time for that, or we shouldn't bother other people with our questions or with whatever. But it's such an important thing if you want to grow as a female leader, to have this community of support of like-minded people, but not just to have it, but also activate it, actually intentionally use it in order to create better spaces. It can be to create better teams, to create better organizations, to create better relationships with customers, to go faster in achieving your goals, and to create, bottom line, to create a better world. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Beautiful. Yeah. So, what would be, or what is the best advice that you ever received that has contributed to bringing you where you are right now as a female leader, and you want to share with the audience?
Yes. One advice that I received for the human resource is not for me, but was in general. for the human resource VP of the DHL America is don't took all personal.
Yeah.
And what mean I thought? What mean? And then I start to walk my path, and I realized it's that, like you mentioned recently, Elena, all the people have the background, all the people has to want to be listening. They have their voice. It's not personal when they think different. They only are other human being with other point of view.
Mm.
And this is a good advice for me for work more, I call maturity or more conscious is the way that I
Mhm.
call it. But it's no personal sometimes. And never is personal actually.
Mhm. Yeah.
Never is personal. Nobody go to the life or the world uh, thinking today I want to fight with everything. Today I was no, nobody. I think all the people have to have the best day possible and do the
Mhm.
best work possible and
Yeah.
try to do that with the tools and with the background and with the voice. And I still working sometimes when I have a different point of view principle. And I think it's not personal.
Mhm.
And when I notice the people are taking so personal, I step back. I learn
Yeah.
to be quiet and be different than I used to be. But sometimes I want to argue, discuss, win my point of view sometimes, yes. But
Mhm.
this is not the point. The
Yeah.
point is convert of the ideas. This is the
Exactly.
point.
Yeah. Exactly. It's very interesting to understand that in conversations, especially if they're like a difference of opinion, that it is not about winning the opinion, that it is about contributing to all the elements on the table in order to make decisions. And it is not because this person has a different view that this person has a problem with you. This is about something. Even when you feel that people are attacking you, if you understand that it's their process, it's their way of putting things. It has nothing to do with you. It's them bringing a message, maybe in an awkward way or in a very emotional way. And if you can take off the pressure of thinking that it is personal, then you can contribute to that conversation in a completely different way. Or you can calmly decide that this is not my conversation. I just end it here. I'm not going to add to the fire. And it's okay. I don't feel bad about that. This is the process. And sometimes it's difficult to find that ground to start for. It takes, like you say, it takes maturity, it takes awareness, it takes consciousness. It's a leadership growth. And I'm very happy that you bring it up because even for women that say, oh, it's easier said than done, I don't know how. It's a learning process, and you don't have to do this alone. You can also get coached or find a mentor in order to absorb these things a bit better, but it's a very important principle and it's a very important advice coming from you, Laura. Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
so
you, Elena.
much. So, we're at the end of our conversation, and I believe on your LinkedIn profile, there's also a lot of information for people who want to find out more about these good causes and how to start. Are you also open to connect with women that want to find out more about how you do it and what you did and how they can bring this into their own organizations or into their own life? Is that a possibility, Lara?
Yes, of course, Elena. And I have to admit, I have to work in my LinkedIn profile because only put my Laura as a worker of DHL, and I am more a coach actually to work with a red of women around the world. Uh, my next vision is to work for women who like to develop leadership skills and confidence. And yeah, I have to actualize. For the moment, we can use my LinkedIn profile as a worker of this company. But yeah, I have pending to start my other part of the work that I realize I have a nice story.
Yeah.
I realize I can help more than I do right now. And diversity, equity, and inclusion give me all the tools for do that and focus in for the moment in women. Then
Yeah.
I can work with other kind of communities. Part for the
Yeah.
woman for the moment for women, and I think we met each other like this, doing the same
Exactly.
work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And
And so
I'm
this is
very
this is
glad
your
to
next
meet
step.
you.
Yeah, me too. And this is your next step to update your LinkedIn profile so you have more visibility in that area. And in the meantime, the women that were listening to this episode have like the premiere because they know beforehand and they know that they can already connect with you if they want to find out more about this female leadership and also the corporate social responsibility and the project. So connect with Laura. We'll make sure that all the information is in the show notes. So you can just directly get there if you want to find out more about what she does and how she does it. And thank you so much, Laura, for being with us on the Boundary Breakers Collective. You are breaking boundaries and you will keep doing that. I'm sure of that. Wishing you all the best also with all your adventures and endeavors that you will start. And yeah, it was great having you here.
No, thank you, Elena, for inviting me and for give me this opportunity to talk about these subjects that are very important. I repeat, in this context, is more important than ever
Yeah,
to talk about.
absolutely. Absolutely. So happy we have this platform to share with everybody. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Elena. Bye.